What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cinematic Epic. I am your game master, Adam, and we are in for a doozy tonight because this is Cinematic Epic's grand finale of Season 2, The Fulcrums of Choice. Now, Cinematic Epic is a narrative-first TTRPG where the story is told through three primary ways. The story that I weave and craft and tell through the NPCs, environments, and just generally how I want to try and kill my characters or my players. Two, the dice that hopefully are on my side with tons of ones and fun rolls like that, and leave those 20s for a different pocket as we approach our big finale tonight. And of course, finally, the choices the characters make, everything that the players bring forth into Cinematic Epic as they bring their characters to life. The last little bit that we throw on there for our ambiance is with help from Tabletop Audio. Tabletop Audio is a great way to add in that little extra to your sessions, whether you are playing at home or you are playing online like us. Check it out. It's great music for your setting. So last time on Cinematic Epic, we had a bunch happen, but the Siege of the Mud Fort was the big one. Now, the party was originally going to have a large amount of time to operate against Upsilon and his forces. However, 3 of our 4 members decided to show mercy instead of mercilessness across the mudflaps. Therefore, the Siege of the Mud Fort was delayed, and our one poor party member who did choose to be merciless, Lyra, her forces were absolutely butchered by orcs that caught back up with her forces and caught her army from behind and caught them in a flank. The rest of the heroes arrived long after, delaying the siege by over 8 hours, where it had to immediately begin. The time to posture, to organize, to plan was gone, and so it had to be rushed. There was a brief meeting of words exchanged by our party, Sigma, Chimera, Gabriel of the Shrouded Woods, and the Gluttony Hedera. However, no positive exchange would happen here. It was entirely negative, as they constantly just threw insults at each other, and the siege would begin. Throughout the siege, Sequoia would have to take on the gates by herself, while the rest of the party heroically moved around a gap in the wall that was made by none other than Vito, who came to assist the heroes of Ambervale in their times of need. The party would progress onward and begin to fight Upsilon and Chimera and Okram and Sigma atop this tower. But there are a few elements to the story that weren't told last week that we will get into as our session begins. The big thing to know is that Tavish is mortally injured, even by his Duhallan frame. The heroes are scattered amongst the mud fort. And in the distance, Ambervale burns. And without further ado, I think it's time to bring in our heroes, because we need them for this story to be told.
Ooh, yeah. Goodness. I'm over here like Ambervale is in flames.
First up of our heroes that we need to introduce is none other than the wonderful, wonderful Lyra.
Wonderful indeed. You know. My name's Alicia, and of course I'm playing the character Lyra. We've all seen her. We love her, even if you don't. You know you do. She's my little 5'2" shorty from Keep Kolak. She, if we don't already know, she's a bard of sorts. She can manipulate sound, and that's what she uses to attack. She's been trying to improve upon that, because that might be the only way she can actually get to Okram. Hopefully the real Okram she tried last time, it was a fake Okram. But even though I feel like the mission is to get Upsilon, if she has an opportunity to take him out, she's taking it. We'll see how this goes.
That's fair. That's fair. Look, with the spotlight needing to fall on the party on this episode, it might just be time for the light of Thespis to play its part for the party.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the the little Freudian slip that we need to get Epsilon. So we'll have to keep that in mind. His mean brother will just let this happen. Next up, we do have a player who isn't with us today. That is
Crap.
Sequoia. Sequoia
Ah.
is the shorty of the group. She stands at like 4'9". She is a woodland spirit, daughter of Hedera, but has thus far through this campaign achieved the mantle of the wielder of Hedera's in a manner of speaking, as she has collected quite a few into herself, absorbing them, allowing them to live through her and their powers to be a part of her own. Her story has had some twists, it's had some turns, and we're going to see how it all plays out, especially with her compatriot alongside of her, none other than the Sean G Baby. Next up on our list of heroes, we have Tavish, who has recently been reunited with young Master Mervis.
Oh.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ian, and I will be playing Tavish for the last time. Tavish is a Duhalan, which is a twice-risen individual. He stands at about 6 feet tall, and he uses a heavy sword and wears full armor. He's dabbled in a little magic, but he's uncertain from whence these powers came, so he's hesitant to use them. He has achieved one of the biggest things on the second half of this campaign that he wanted to do, which is to save young Master Mervis, a character that he helped raise and actually had kind of fostered the idea that anybody could be a hero. And Mervis certainly showed that to us. So, we're into the thick of it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and we're going to have to find out, how does it feel to play in a finale episode when your character is starting with a hole through their armor, through their chest, and multiple cuts, lacerations, and gaping wounds in their body, and not a whole lot of time to seek a good, healer or medical professional. But we do have one more hero, one last spark in the darkness to stand against the tide that I will be bringing against the party tonight, and that is Upsilon.
Light.
I may have slightly forgotten the whole state of my boy that he was in at the end of the last episode. Us just sitting there, this man all ran through. Oh no. Oh, yeah, my name's James, and I'll play an Epsilon. Epsilon's a half-dragon human from Gringro's Watch. He much changed from the blessings he's taken from his mother, become much more draconic than he was before, and he got wings and such now. And he fights with the flame, the flame, the blade, and this black fire now. The Stygian flame. He's here because he as a hero, but more important than that is he's here to stop Upsilon.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I agree, Captain.
I'm pretty sure.
Of course, by his side, the ever trusty Ace.
Don't talk about Ace in the intro. Don't do that. Don't do that.
And before we can hop into this session, let's take a look at our good old points, our epic tokens, our cinematic tokens, as a reminder to our party here tonight. There is no follow-up episode. So if you're going to use a token, tonight's the best time to use it, because who wants to be a dead character whose story horribly failed at the finish line and have a bunch of tokens left over, right? That just doesn't sound fun.
Yep.
Oh, look at these smiling faces. They're all very much ready to get into our show and get things going, so we're going to have some fun tonight. little prelude there for you. Without further ado, let's get into our finale episode. Everything that is about to be described has been rolled for already. To keep our episode nice and compact, and that way we can have as much spotlight onto our players in this final episode, we are going to cut the rolling process from the storytelling, but all of these have been rolled for, and some of this was in rather heartbreaking fashion. As the party split from each other, Sequoia going to try and fight for the gate, and the rest of the party heading to the wedge. They were met by constant challenges. Dragons, but then Angwin would open a portal, and arcane titans from the spires would come out and take that fight. The heroes would press on, making it to the Capitol building, where Tavish and Upsilon would go to where Upsilon stood. Lyra, however, would tread a different path. Elsewhere on the battlefield, through windows, through walkways, the party would experience and, be able to see these things, looking at these people they know, these other combatants, these other heroes, but not being able to do anything to help them, having to stay on task. The break in the wall that they had just fought through. The orcs that had sided with Ambervale fought a deadly conflict. The fight looks rather stalled, though, as if not fully impacting on each other's lines, and then through the chaos of it all, each one of you is able to discern that it's because an honor combat is being fought between Garrock and Gumby.
Oh.
The two exchange blows as they fight with everything they have. However, Garrock is proving to be Gumby's better at every turn.
Uh-oh.
At the gate, Sequoia wields her magic to strike, fight, and break through as she's being stalled out by the gluttonous Hedera. Her attacks seem to feed off the conflict. Every time an orc or soldier of Ambervale dies near her, mushrooms sprout across their corpse, beginning to devour it, and she seems to rejuvenate herself, growing stronger, more fierce, more violent. On the top of one of the walls, from one of the air blimps, lands Jin as he squares off with his once friend Breakspear. The two of them exchanging blows. Jin, ever the victor, as they continue to fight. But Breakspear's scales begin to change from blue to red. Silver etching seems to glisten across his scales now, as they fight now, with Breakspear landing far more attacks on Jin than before. Gumby and Garrock continue their brawl, fighting. They both slide backwards. They both leap at each other, but you have no time to watch this exchange, as you must travel down the next hallway and you lose sight of these battles that happen. The party continues to run as you look back out and you see that Garrock has been knocked to the ground. His weapon strewn off onto the side as Gumby stands above him. But you can't watch what happens next, as again, you pass through another hallway. You peek through a window on your next staircase up, and you see that Jin is now not fighting some small Dracolan creature. No, he's fighting a full-on drake, wings roaring, near flames gouting from its mouth. Jin is pushed backwards, constantly losing ground, having to start to dodge, dip, duck, and weave away from this more powerful opponent. The fight at the gate roars on as Sequoia begins to gain the upper hand, and the gluttonous Hedera is pushed all the way back so her feet are now touching the gate itself. But Tavish and Upsilon, your attention is pulled from what's happening now as you arrive. You arrive in front of Upsilon. Tavish, as you make that final decision of, do I fire the weapon? Epsilon, you can't help but look out from here. The view is horrifying and breathtaking in a single moment as you watch as thousands and thousands and thousands of soldiers do battle all across the Mudfort. Drakes and Draklins swooping in, soldiers and orcs and heroes of Ambervale dying in the droves. From here, you can't help but notice that some of these heroes that are losing their life in the mud are some of the aged heroes from Greengrove's Watch. Some of these heroes are people, men, women that you've known for your whole life. And now they are just but stepping stones in the chaos.
It's going to disappear in the mud forever.
Lyra, as you continue making your way up towards Okram and where you would eventually have that conflict, the last thing that you look out and see, and it brings a smile to you, a confidence that you made the right decision, is you see that Gumby stands over Garrock. The gate is splintered open by Aegis as he, like a raging comet, flies back to the sky, and Sequoia cheers and pushes through with Luther Cano. Everything's going well. In fact, even now, Jin has a more bestial appearance to him, his muscles rippling, similar to the form that you had seen all the way back at the prison, but something in Jin's eyes looks more focused, more determined, as if he can at least in some way control his monster. Breakspear finds himself once again on the back foot. As you approach and Sean G comes up and it begins to aid as you split through this, and Tavish fires out the red weapon, the weapon that pierces past the defenders that would be by Upsilon, pierces past them and strikes Upsilon. There's a moment where Gumby cheers. Sequoia screams forward. Forward! Luther beats his chest as he continues to run. Jin stands above Breakspear, holding his head down as Breakspear reverts back into his smallest blue form. But then, all is made mockery. As we know, it wasn't truly Upsilon. In this moment, standing over Garrock, Gumby screaming as the orcs, even those under the effect of freedom, seem to wane and respect this part of our culture as if so ingrained within their hearts and souls. Seeing Gumby win this fight shook them from its magic. And then Gumby, his axe, tumbles from his hand, slapping into the mud. And he looks down. An arrow in his chest. He reaches for it and grabs it. And as he begins to stumble backwards, he looks up, and through the crowd, he sees Palumbi, his own daughter, having just loosed an arrow. As the fighting begins to kick up around him, he sees that Galatrax tackles her to the ground and begins engaging in combat with her, but there's no fight in him as he stumbles backwards, a tear welling in his eyes. As if every step backwards he stumbles, he sees his home, his life, his family, his people slipping away from him. He stops falling backwards. His head drapes backwards, caught. As he sees standing next to him, catching him as he falls, is Vito. Having arrived at the mud fort, he looks down at the dying orc chieftain. He closes Gumby's eyes. He grabs Gumby's axe, and he lets loose a new yell as soldiers from Vice and soldiers loyal to Gumby charge forward. Those that have broken from freedom's grasp rally with Vito in this new push. Those that haven't are re-engaged in brutal combat. Breakspear separates himself from Jin, forcing himself back into his Drake form, though it looks weakened. It doesn't have the same luster to it. He seems to be having been communicated with someone as he flies up to the tower. Jin, however, latching onto him, they fight on their way. You, Lero, would know this part, as Jin would come flying into the arena that you were fighting the Shard of Okram with, as the Drake lands next to him, and the two of them begin to make their escape. Jin, however, would run and leap after the two of them, breaking the concentration of the Valkyrie singing Okram as he tumbles off of Breakspear as they plummet towards the ground. Jin pummels Breakspear. Breakspear sees that in this state, this Shard of Okram can't concentrate, and thus all around the mud fort, the Song of the Valkyrie is broken. Draculins in the sky plummet to their deaths. Their bodies rain down over the city streets as they impact onto the ground. Breakspear, not focused at all on the wailing attacks of Jin, flies faster and faster to try to catch this Shard of Okram, to try to get the Song of the Valkyrie to resume. But as he grabs Okram's leg, it is too late. He's slammed into the ground too hard. Breakspear slams into the ground alongside of it, having no time to slow. Jin is able to jump off in time and land in a power pose. Breakspear slumps back to his normal, his base form. No fight left in him as he watches all around him the Draculins fall from the sky. And this sinking feeling, he led his Cabela here. This was his doing. He looks over and he sees the chaos, the everything dying around him, and it boils inside of Breakspear's body to the point where erupting from himself is his Drake form. Only this time not blue-scaled, but red-scaled, with silver etchings down the sides of it. Even in Jin's empowered form, he finds himself put on his back foot ever further back. Lyra, you stand watching this, torn between whether you should leave, whether you should go, what you should do. And then, out at the gate, you see that Sequoia is being bested. In all the chaos, you didn't even check on her. You were so assured. Who could? And of course, it had to be Gabriel. You see that without Sean G next to her, with Luther Cano in such a weakened state from all of the fighting he had done, she's being bested more and more and more. Up on top of the tower, Tavish and Upsilon see none of this happening as they best Chimera. and Sigma is thrown from the top of the tower, and young Master Mervis is pulled from the very grips of this darkness, this swirling mass that is Chimera's breaking form. It's only now that as Upsilon looks out, re-examining the battlefield, he realizes how badly they're doing. Angoin took not only himself, but Aegis, Neophytos. The king is nowhere to be seen. And Roscoe or any of the other top heroes that you would depend on. Darien, Roe, Typhon, Lambda, all of these are missing, gone. The only thing you can assume is they're back now in Ambervale, but that means that there are few here left to the task of fighting for the Mud Fort. You look down in horror as you see that in the carnage of it, Miles Maceborn Duncan tried to assist in the fight versus Breakspear. But even him and his mace were no match for the Draklin, the Drake's teeth. He lays left arm missing, a chunk from his skull cleaved off by claw, and Matilda broken next to him. As you re-examine and you try to sort of like focus to get an idea of what's going on in this battle, the next thing you see is that Jin is like, he has his hands on his head and he's vibrating. He's clearly, something's going on inside of him personally, but I have no idea what it could be. As next to him, the Breakspear begins to breathe fire across his flesh, but before it hits him, Niles jumps in the way. His craft weaven armor holds back the gouts of Darby. I apologize, Darby. His craft weaven armor and magics block the flames for a time as he keeps reweaving the spell over and over again, almost like a magician pulling out like fabric from his sleeve. But it all begins burning too quickly, as Breakspear makes mockery of it by adding his claws to separate the cloth. Darby is incinerated. It then grabs your attention. You almost call to Tavish for him to look, but Tavish is... You wouldn't dare interrupt him in his moment with Mervis. So Upsilon and Lyra, you both watch as Sequoia lashes out with an attack, but it's countered. With a shadowy underbrush, the mud moves, and she slips and smacks into the ground. Gabriel sends out another attack at her, lashing across her face, lashing across her body. She sends out an attack. Gabriel doesn't bother moving all of the way. She wasn't aiming lethally. And it slices into his shoulder, but he doesn't care because while she attacked, he attacked in return. A tendril now wrapping around her neck. You see her life begin to wane. Her arms start to flop to her sides. She's giving up. And then that's when
Sequoia. Is that how I raised you? You know that I would not have handed over my forest, my title, to you if you were not worthy of this. You were my daughter. Honey, oh, come on. You know that this is who you are now. I'm part of you. I am you. When I first met you, I knew that there was something more to you. Sequoia, right? I didn't really get to know you, but I really felt a lot from you. Like the fact that you
Oh,
were so kind to stay near me so that I wouldn't be alone in my last moments. And just like you were there for me and you stuck by my side, I'm not going to leave you. That little dickhead over there, he stole my heart and he turned me into the thing you saw when we fought. But I'm glad that we fought. And I'm glad that you won. I feel more like myself again. Look how far you've come. The little orphan that I found wandering in the woods. The tiniest little thing, but as fierce and as strong as the mighty tree that I named you after. You had spunk. There's a fire. I like that in you. Don't lose that fire. Show me. Stop doubting yourself. You've already done so much. I don't know what else you need from us. But seriously, I'm not losing to him again. So you need to suck it up. Whatever it is, this crisis that you're going through, cut it out. Show me what you showed me back there. You do not give up. Sequoia, 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 Sequoia. Stop holding back.
And in this flurry, her eyes open up. The very tendril that's wrapping around her neck lets her go as she lands on the ground. The mud around her becomes dirt. Then vines rip out from its surface, grabbing Gabriel by the arms and the legs, holding him into place. As she begins to walk towards him, he struggles. He tries to shunt, to teleport, to use all of his tricks, his trades, anything, but it all starts to fail him. Vibrating in place, Sequoia comes up to him. She places her hand on his chest, finding his heart. And as she begins moving her hands in, vines sprout from her fingertips and begin to weave their way through Gabriel's flesh to his ribs, pulling them aside with a crackling break.
Get him.
gruesome as hell. What the
Ow,
fuck?
that don't matter. Oh, bitch.
She reaches her hand in, touching his heart. And as she pulls it like a seed, the Gabriel in front of you twists, contorts, breaks, withers, and then just becomes nothing but a pile of broken bark, twig, and leaf. As she holds the heart in her hand, she whispers something to him. She whispers that this is for you. This is for my forest. My mother. This was for you too, Gabriel. As if snapped from this moment, realizing that there's still a massive battle being fought around her, you see that Shanji gets to her as she kind of collapses backwards from exhaustion from this output of power. And thus we are caught up. Standing atop this tower now, next to Tavish. Tavish, as you sit there, you realize that he may physically be here, but he's fading. He's been through so much, and he's just a boy. He's not like you. He's not like Upsilon. He's not a hero. You realize that last bit you muttered out to yourself. He's not a hero. A voice cuts through the silence atop the tower. A man who simply watched the exchange, Upsilon's death, or apparent one, and Sigma being chucked from the tower, and the battle with Chimera, of course. Okram speaks.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, that was all rather impressive. I didn't want to interrupt. It seemed rather personal. I am no real dog in the fight, after all. It does appear that the poor boy is dying, though. Now, if you're so inclined, I do believe I could stop that.
Am I running in that direction?
I think it's safe to assume that the next place you would go is to the only place you can't see is the top of the spire, and so that would be the place you go.
Okay. How far am I?
We'll say you. Because you versus your Okram was happening all at the same time. We're gonna say that you are just now leaving the platform as this scene begins.
Okay.
Tavish gives Okram a side eye, or I guess a side tilt from his helmet, and says, "I'll have no speak from you. I don't quite know you, and I don't care to understand what you stand here for. But it's clear that you have no love nor loyalty to Upsilon and those that follow him. You're here for a deal, and unfortunately for you, I've had enough of them. Enough for 2 lifetimes."
It's crazy. I know I told him about his shit. That's why I'm hoping.
Percolating.
And I have to say, under normal circumstances, I would totally agree with you. However, it does seem as if you're needed elsewhere, and I don't believe that boy is going to make it. No, hold on. I do believe another answer is coming. Not one I plan to stick around for, mind you, but all I'll say is when she gets here, she can lighten up the boy's darkness. And that's all it will take. But to the two of you, I bid you adieu, and brava on your performances. He walks to the edge of the top of the tower and looks back and goes, "Oh, and Upsilon, if you do happen to see that sister of yours, do let her know that I will get even." And I will get even. And then he takes a step off the top of the tower.
Oh, well. Hope we don't have to see him ever again.
A short second later, you see him fly back up into the air in a more draconic-looking form, claws, scales, wings on his back, etc., as he swoops down somewhere else on the battlefield.
Hell, y'all might be related too. Shit.
Shortly after, he leaves, almost as if perfectly timed on his exit. Lyra rejoins the two of you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm over here like, I don't even know what there's what happened here?
Exactly. As you walk in, you see Tavish holding Master Mervis. You see that, like, he wants to, like, his eyes glisten bright, but his body is withered. It feels plagued by the Stygian darkness that Upsilon's magic wrought. Next to all of this is Epsilon, who looks over the vast battlefields and the horrors that are happening below.
Mm. Well, I feel like the first thing. Well, I'm gonna say if she sees Mervis, that would probably be the first thing I'm gonna do is go. Lyra's gonna go over there. Cause oh my goodness. So wait. Normally I would ask what happened, but you managed to pull him out? Did what happened? Short version. Cause
We killed Chimera. And through all the muck of that creature's soul, we were able to drag Mervis back. I fear that he remained in there for too long. He is no hero. And while the will to live is still there, his body is drawing its final breaths. Tavish continues to kind of cradle Mervis in his arms, just kind of like holding him and letting him know that he's still there with him, that he's not going anywhere.
no, because
Before
I think
Okram left, he threw in one last little line talking about,
he was here.
yeah, he just watched us fight. He didn't even participate. And then he left because he knew you were coming.
Of course he did.
He said that whoever was coming, that she could lighten Mervis's darkness.
Lighten the.
He could shine a light
Well?
to his darkness, or whatever that means.
He said it just like that.
Hey,
More like what he said than what I said.
Well, okay, well, the fact that it came from him, I'm not sure if that's worrisome or not at this point, but I do think I know what he means by that. Since I'm the one who apparently appeared after, I must be the one. So,
I believe
okay.
that's true.
All right, so I have to talk to Mervis then. Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to do this, but okay. Mervis, if you can hear me, I have...
He
I'm
looks
talking.
up at you.
If you're going to make it, it sounds like you have to accept the light of Thespis from me to try to clear the darkness from your body. But you have to say that you accept it.
His eyes look away from you and look up at Tavish.
if you want to live, lad, you'll say the words.
He looks back to Lyra.
I'm like,
And with all the strength that young Master Mervis can muster, his arm weakly shivers up to your hands.
I'm moving it closer.
And through
90%.
Through the driest mouth you've ever heard, you hear, I accept the light of Thespis. And you see the light transfer to his hands. And his nails look healthy. His fingertips regain their strength. His arms come back to a flesh tone and color. His eyes, not just the brilliance of hope, but the brilliance of life. As his teeth in his mouth, you hear saliva lap inside of his jaw. As his hair flows, he stands up. And as you stare at him, Tavish, you also realize in this that this has pushed him over the edge. the spark of a hero has truly been ignited in young Master Mervis.
Tavish goes to support Mervis, expecting him to still be in that weakened state as from before. He's like, take it easy, lad.
He's like,
Can't have you overexerting yourself just yet.
As you lean, your own body starts to kind of give way as you realize you don't have like abs to try to hold up the center of your body. Your wounds are chunks out of your shoulder, broken ribs, shattered bones. And instead of you supporting Mervis grabs your chest and supports you. I'm okay.
Thank the gods, boy.
And he looks all around as he looks at Lyra. He looks at Tavish. He looks back to Lyra. Thank you. Thank you.
honestly, I would like to think, don't thank me. I got this when I was at the Temple of Gyako in the Spire, so thank them.
Oh.
I will.
That's why I know Okram knows that I have it, but I'm inclined to think that it's a good thing because I got it when I was at the temple. He wasn't there.
Can I
It's
can
just a little worrisome that he knows.
What's up?
that is worrisome. Not for Epsilon, but for me personally. Can I can I Epsilon's gonna he's like standing over in the corner, kind of like at the fucking wall is busted open from where Sigma blasted out. He's just been like looking out over the side, just contemplating. And I wanna come over to Tavish and I just want to look at his situation and see if I think if I could use my control of Stygian magic to try to soothe him or something, like try to
Oh, because I'm
clear some of the shit out
honestly,
or something.
I was about to go right next to
So-
him, be like, "Am I out?" Because clearly he's hurt. I don't know if it can help him too. I was gonna move right over to him,
So,
like, "Hey, friend."
in theory, what you know about Duhalans is pretty limited for the most part. But one of the things over the time of questing with Tavish that you've realized is that all traditional means of healing him seem to have no effect. And he's on many occasions spoken about how he's not a creature of undeath, and necromancy also has no bonus against him. However, technically speaking, you do know that these Stygian magics can create these magical, fleshy, tendril-like things. In fact, you just finished fighting an amalgamation of just such an enemy. So the idea of repairing, replacing, or otherwise using Stygian magic to create a fleshy bond-like substance is well within your knowledge.
Fuck me.
I'm over here like, "Can I?" He over here contemplating. I'm over here like, so, Tavish, I don't know if it will help but if you would like, you could also try. But again, you would have to accept the light of Thespis.
I just
Seems as
love
though
every
the
time you do
light. It
this.
seems as though the light fights the dark. Because it seems like the darkness took over here, and it appears to be gone.
That might be true for young Master Mervis. But I don't think there's much light left in me.
That's why we need to put it
After
in there.
all the deals that I've done, I doubt it would do any good.
Yeah.
It probably can't hurt either. That's all.
Aye. And that's where I fear you're wrong. I
Well-
fear I've stepped too long in the darkness that shrouds Passacor. to ever truly be touched kindly by the light of a different deity. A different god's light may not touch me as it would the mortal flesh.
I would
Well,
agree because it is, immortal flesh at this point. But at the same time, I guess my thoughts would be, wouldn't you would probably need such a power from another god to even attempt to try to fight back in my mind. But maybe I'm
on that note, maybe I could help you, Tavish. Full disclosure, I've never tried anything like that before, but that is right in Mother's wheelhouse, you know.
mm,
The sounds of, sorry, out of character question. The sounds of battle are still continuing below us, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Tavish kind of looks at both of you and points to the edge of, or kind of gestures to the edge of the tower. Maybe after we found a way out of this conflict, we can revisit this. Tavish kind of begins to
you can't even
try
make it
and
out.
push himself up, kind of
Can't he
using
get up?
the sword
That's what
less
I'm
as a
saying.
sword and more like a cane at this point.
That's
Just
what
like
we are trying. Look, I'm
there's
trying to
still
help you
work.
make it out.
There's still work to be done. And start I guess it's probably best to say shuffle or stumbling, maybe stumbling his way towards
Limping
the
out.
stairs to go back down them to the battlefield below, even
As
if
he's
it's
like,
not to take an active part, but at least to be there.
as
To
he's getting
die?
up, as
Because
I'm watching him get up and all this, does he actually get up? Is he capable of
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. He
Okay.
as described, he's like, he looks like any old angry man ever that is like, no, don't tempt me, I can do it, is the best way to describe it. Like he's, sword
Okay.
on the ground, he's
I just
walking
picture
kind of thing.
him
All due
rolling
respect.
down like spiral stairs, like a bag of like canned goods, like all
As
those-
Tavish,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll say, Tavish, I think this is something we should settle right now. As I'm watching him
you
struggle to
barely
get up
walk.
and say all this, I'm just like, we need you now, not later. And if so, I'm just asking for your consent. I think I could do it, but I don't want to try without you saying it's all right. But I'm pretty sure I could do something. Help put you back together a little bit.
I mean, at this
Tavish is
point,
more. Tavish's body
Personal.
language betrays like, oh my goodness, it would really be nice to move normally, like an actual thing. But his voice tends to. He says, and all the time and energy that you use trying to put me back together could be down there saving soldiers. We have a war to fight and win. We can't stop
You
for one.
you ain't winning nothing but a turtle race
on,
at this point.
on that note, at the top of the stairs arrives none other than the hero, Russ.
Oh,
There you guys are. I gotta get you back to Ambervale.
Ooh.
Whew. Whew. God, legs getting kind of tired. Whew. Hi. No, but seriously, we gotta get you guys there.
So what do you propose?
He points out to like past the front gates. We just gotta get right outside the front gates. Once we're there, oh my goodness, shouldn't have had so many of those bananas. Oh,
Oh my
This thing is stuck on bags of
God.
bananas.
and he points, and you see just outside, like the battlements, are the horses that you had rode on for the parlay. They are
Oh,
attached
the
to a
hero
carriage,
horses.
and they are awaiting you.
A carriage. How long is it gonna take to get back?
All right, come on, son. And he starts running down.
Tavish ain't running nowhere.
How feasible would it be for me to carry Tavish?
Master Mervis like
Takes him
puts
up with one hand.
Yeah. No, puts Tavish like under one of his arms over his shoulder, and he's like, Tavish, uh, you're gonna have to hold on to me. I'm gonna start repairing my old suit, and he pulls out the
He's like
remnants of
Hercules.
his old little like wired suit that he had back in Vice, though it seems broken and twisted from its time in Chimera. If I can get this working, I can at least patchwork you.
He gonna be looking like what's his name? Old boy that got beat up by Jin. That's gonna be you. You'll be in an
Roscoe.
exosuit. You gonna be in an exosuit too.
Robo Roscoe.
Russ puts his head up the stairs. Now I don't know if all you know, but like a lot of people are dying, so we should, split. And he pulls out a banana and starts eating
Another banana joke. I knew it. Let's
Could
walk
I, in
and talk.
theory-
Let's walk and talk, y'all.
Nah, they need me to come with them. I'm just coming down. I was just
Let's
like,
walk and
I
talk.
could just like, I could fly
No.
over there. But I was like, nah, they need me to protect them. I can't leave them. What if something happens?
I got
So-
Hercules and a bag of canned corn. You better come on.
We are
Like a sack of potatoes.
gonna roll a quick calamity to see how the front part of your escape of the mud fort is gonna go. Quick, good old calamity. 30's better for you guys. 1's better for me.
That is
Fuck.
atrocious. It's atrocious. It's almost as just as it could be. You know what? I'm starting to think that I was right, and that Tavish should have let me just zupa zap him up a little bit.
As you begin to make it down, like in the main area, Dawn's there, and he's like, "All right, guys, I'm not gonna lie. This is not our finest moment. We're like severely outnumbered, and honestly, most of you don't look great. And that guy doesn't even have a weapon. That guy's carrying a broken spear, but that's not the type of broken spear that we want right now. He's on the other side. But hey, even if all of you die, as long as they don't, and preferably not me, we'll be okay. What say you?" And the people around are like, "What?" But a clasp of spear and shield. A clasp of spear and shield. A clasp of spear and shield. As what remains of the Loyal 84 are ready to give their last. The doors
Not
burst
yours,
open.
mine.
The Loyal
I think
84.
that's what I'm saying. You're saying.
The Loyal 84 step out first. They take the front wave of the conflict. It is brutal right off the bat. Orcs, men, soldiers, women, heroes obliterated in a matter of seconds. But the party has to push through. Russ and Dawn do their best to get you through the majority of the conflict. But you begin to slow. There are too many orcs. There are hundreds and hundreds of orcs, and you are outnumbered. Then mud splits as you see Sequoia on the other side beginning to churn the mud out and make a path for you all as you continue to run and run and run. But it's not going to hold for everyone. Most of the Loyal 84 is cut off. Most of the soldiers that were with you are cut off. As you arrive to Sequoia, only the 4 members of the Loyal 84 that were with you on the top of the tower, Dawn, Russ, are now rejoined with Sequoia, Lavender, Sean G, and Luther Cano. As you begin to try to make it out of the city, one of the arcane Titan Rexes comes slamming through a building, splattering across mud as it tries to stand itself back up, its wounds gaping, its missing an arm as it and the other one are embattled with the gigantic dragon that still looms here in the city. The creature begins to stir up, and it sees sees all of you. It begins to let out its energy. Before any of you have time to react, Luther jumps over, and with every ounce of strength he has, he keeps its mouth closed.
Ooh.
And he looks over to the lot of you, and he goes, "You're gonna need your strength. Just go."
Oh. Okay.
I feel like I don't want to listen to him. I think I need to at least fire off a shot and try to help this man.
Over here, like, you heard what he said, guys, and we're gonna.
Enough heroes have died so far that I want to at least try and I'm gonna try to one bop this man. He already looked not the Cano, but the Rex. I want to try to
The Titan.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yes. I'm gonna use a minor token. You know what I'm saying? And I want to just he's trying to pierce through. You know what I'm saying? So he's trying to make a not necessarily condensed, but a small. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's where we're heading. That's what it's got to be. Then I'm doing that. I guess I'm condensing some. I'm trying to drill through this man's brain, basically. The big
All
old Titan that he's holding.
Minor
He's holding his head
epic-
steady. You know what I'm
Minor
saying?
epic token, and let's see it. Let's see our D20 roll for this.
I'm using the classic fire for this one. That is pretty terrible. Well, wait, I think I have a thing for that.
Thing.
Yeah, I think there's something. Is it a perk? I think it might be a perk.
5, 4.
I just have
3.
Arcane Annihilation. If I can re-roll that, I guess. Just a regular.
So I am going to say that you can re-roll it if you would like. It's going to cost you another token to do so, as during this you are still trying to flee the city. There's a lot going on, so this would take a large amount of your focus and energy to do so.
How many do I got? I got 4 more. I will.
5.
I will
Fuck
do
it.
this.
3.
I got. Well, I took
Alright.
down one already.
So we're using a second token, minor epic token from
yes.
Upsilon to re-roll this. Let's see it.
Might as well.
Normal D20 re-roll.
Oh please.
Oh my god.
It's better, but it could have been nice.
Yeah.
You send out the attack to a lesser creature. This could have been fatal. But you watch as it devours into a chunk, hitting the bone of this titanous creature, and your flames aren't enough. As you continue to run, its jaws begin to open a little bit, and the arcane energy seeps out. And though you and the party are spared from the attack, Luther Cano gives his life for
I knew it.
Ambervale.
That's what I'm saying. I knew this shit was coming. I wanted to save his life, but I didn't want to use my big tokens. I'm sorry, Luther.
As the party makes it to the gatehouse, it's combat everywhere. As orcs have resurged in, the Draculans that are on foot, they seem to be enraged, infuriated. Some of the Draculans even have glistening silver writing across their scales, as if something somewhere else has empowering them to a new height. They claw, they fight, and you see it out in front, the chariot. It begins to start to come around, seeing that you're at the gatehouse. The party makes a break for it, running, immediately stepping outside the gate. You realize that the top of the walls are completely covered in orcs. They have crossbows. They have black powder firearms. They wield scrolls. They wield magic. They wield bow. They throw axes and oils and rocks. And you have to stop, and you step back. The party again, similar to before, as you try to ready yourself to how would I deal with the situation? And another hero steps up. All right, Dawn exclaims loudly. Well, Gotta say, right now, I wish I was a hero of the Fulcrum. But, I'm not. I'm just me. And he pulls out 2 firearms from his side. Guess you guys are gonna need some good old-fashioned covering fire. Hey, when you make it to Ambervale, you make sure you kill Upsilon. Kill him good. All right. Hey, Russ comes up and he's like, "All right, what do you want me to do?" Not this time, buddy. You go with them. They might need you down the road. I mean, besides, we're about to have to travel to Ambervale. I wouldn't be much help there, but you got god legs, son. So, and the 2 of them stare at each other for a moment, realizing that this might be the last time they see each other. They both look at each other, and in a more somber tone, they go, "Come on, son." And as Dawn goes to turn and step out, Russ grabs his shoulder and goes, "Proud of you." And Dawn turns back. "Proud of you." And Dawn steps out and starts just firing off different rounds. You watch as his fighting style matches his demeanor. He'll fire, and the ammunition in his weapons clearly have some sort of scroll-based magic built into them, but because every trigger pull is some sort of over-the-top new projectile, none of which are just, bullets or anything from his 6-shooters. He'll fire arrows, he'll fire crossbows, he'll fire fireballs and lightning, all, and he just keeps firing, and he doesn't seem to ever reload as he just keeps pulling the trigger. The attention rips down at him as archers begin to shoot at him, and at first, he's able to duck, dodge, and weave, but he starts taking hits, more and more of them, as the party rushes out towards the cart as it comes around. It's not enough. There's too many. They start to look at the party, and you realize the shots, though, aren't coming down at you. They sound like they're all coming behind you as you glance back as the chariot pulls around and each one of you start to clamber inside. Lavender isn't following the party anymore.
No.
He's holding his ground as he takes more and more arrows to his chest, his legs, and he gets pinned down as he just keeps firing out, reloading, and continuing to fire. As the chariot pulls around and the party all begins to scramble inside, and it pulls out. You see as Dawn lays back into a pile of rubble, barely moving, just with one arm firing shots out randomly. Lavender's weapons fall to the ground as he falls to his knees, and he just looks up, and you feel a calm, and then nothing. As the chariot begins to or not chariot, the carriage begins to pick up speed, you realize it starts to pick up speed even through the mud. It's almost as if the surface doesn't matter. The wheels spin, but the front horse is injured. Arrows plague the sides of its body, and you can tell that this cart was meant to be able to go faster. It goes fast now as you rush through the mud flats at a speed far beyond something that you thought was possible. But at this rate, you'll still take hours, if not a whole day, to make it back to Ambervale. The chariot begins, or the carriage begins to move faster, and then faster still, and then faster even more. As in the front, next to the injured horse, running with his arms stretched out, is Russ, as he continues to help push. It's a blur. As the world around begins to move faster and faster, and you realize that these horses and Russ will get you back to Ambervale in 1 hour. But speaking about time, I think we take our 5-minute break and we allow ourselves to, have a moment to lament those who have fallen, to allow our heroes to get out of the mud fort. And the challenge is still to come at Ambervale and the fight against Upsilon. All of this and more when we're back from our 5-minute break here on Cinematic Epic.
Ooh.
Welcome back to Cinematic Epic, and it's been a doozy. I'm your Game Master, Adam, and we're going to have some fun on the other side of what was our 5-minute break. Now, a quick recap to catch you up if you are joining us here, or just to refresh you in general, is that we have escaped the Mud Fort, and we are on our way to Ambervale to confront Upsilon. Heroes have been falling left and right along the way. In fact, Miles Maceborn Duncan, Darby Gumby, Dawn, Lavender, and Luther lay amongst the slain. It's going to come down to these final decisions, these final choices, if you will, from our party to decide how our finale event of the choice, or the Fulcrums of Choice, is going to end. So without further ado, let's bring our party back into it. As the carriage picks up to its full speed, the world around you blurs, and you realize that you will be arriving at Ambervale in less than 1 hour. And for the first time in a while, and perhaps the last time, the party finds themselves alone.
Just the four of us in here right now?
It is the four of you, Sean G, Ace, and
The four Caballeros back here. Where are my buddies?
Man,
Where are
it's
my
just like
buddies?
this. He's like
Ace,
this in the back, just
Ace, Colbjorn, Sean G, the four members of the Loyal 84 that made it, and the party.
copy.
Mervis?
Oh, and Mervis, yes.
We left him behind.
He's like, the fuck? He's like, oh yeah, he's back there with Lavender.
Just back there in the mud with crossbow bolts in his back. Just...
Like, they left me.
Oh.
No.
Damn.
Oh, I'd be so mad.
So Savage,
I'd be so
you,
mad.
have you thought about my offer? I think we need you.
Hey. I'd like to spend a cinematic token, the minor, to aid Epsilon in this endeavor. So that way when he rolls, at least he's...
What is the theme of the cinematic token? Like, cinematically, how are you attempting to help this?
Yeah, story.
Take it slow. Do what you know you can do. And don't reach too far. But don't know what could happen to me on the other end of it. Be smart. But do not let caution make you a coward.
Okay.
I'm gonna with how that was done, I'm going to attach that to a inspiration roll. We're gonna say that because it's a token, it's an automatic success. So even a 1 isn't a crit fail. This 20 is just representing a bonus level of it. So the higher the better. So a D20 roll with that cinematic token. That was a minor cinematic, yes.
And at this time, I'd also like to go ahead and get those 3 extra rolls that I'm supposed to have per session.
Oh, of course. Let's do those first. So our
Yeah, the
3
pro bono,
rice, 4 tavish.
Yeah,
see.
come in there. Get in there.
Uh,
Get your shit.
I need to grab a pen. I realize
So
I
17,
don't have
16, 14.
17.
Because
16, 14.
anything under 14 becomes a 14. So 17,
Oh, yes.
16, 14.
Nice,
So would you like to
nice.
use any of those on this upcoming roll? Again, a 1 is not a failure. This is just a magnitude, basically.
Let's go ahead and roll this normally, so that way
Okay.
if there is a 20 that comes up, we leave ourselves open to it.
Let's see it.
Oh shit.
Well, hey, good thing a 1 still isn't a failure for this. Like I said, it's with the token. A 1 just means the lowest possible bonus in this regard. All right, so it turns now to you, Epsilon.
That is really funny. I feel compelled that I must also do something, but I don't know what to use now.
Alira just feels sad that Tavish thinks that he is so irredeemable that he has to just use, he can't use the light. He's just going to put darkness on top of darkness, like a darkness sandwich.
So,
Listen, it worked so well for me. I want to see.
Did it?
I wanted to see. Can I? Can I also use a cinematic miner token? And Epsilon is sitting here, and he's like looking at Tavish, laying there, all crumpled up, like a piece of paper. This big ass gash is all the gash to his body and shit. He just thinks back to like the feeling of being like put back together when he was in the little tube back with his mom. You know,
Okay.
like the things she did. Think about how it felt when he received her blessing the last time, and how it felt when he changed, like the way the magic felt going through his body. And then he's gonna go over to Tavish. He's just gonna say like, or guide my hand, and then he's gonna start trying to like slowly try to,
None
mix
of
it
those
up
things
on him.
sounded pleasant.
as you go over to Tavish, you begin to try, and we're gonna have you roll Stygian for this. Let me pull up your, and we're gonna use that as a non-combat for the purposes of this attempt.
Nice.
And so yeah, let's get our D20. We do have a 5 in this Stygian roll.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. As
Almost
as
very
you
bad.
begin to weave kind of like, so you can't kind of like see just into him and like through him, and you start to like chunk wounds back. You do understand that for the most part, though, that this is a stopgap. It's not going to put him at 100%. You feel like you might be able to delve deeper. You might be able to do more.
he about
Because-
to make him a chimera.
As you think of this, as you think of the things that you're trying to do right now and what the difference is, you didn't let me help. You hear inside your head.
Yeah, it worked out well for you, did it?
I mean, to be honest, so far, as of yet,
Do you not
Epsilon has no
remember
reason.
how I told you what you look like in your
So-
mind? What is going on?
I mean,
you are
there
a
is that.
scared child in the middle of a
There is
darkness
that, but-
tornado.
So far, it saved my boy when he was about to die once previously. And then Colbjorn respected me after that.
Just
All
know
right,
that
so
none of that
You know
was
what
you.
I'm saying?
are you delving deeper? 5.
I look at Tavish and I tell him, like, if I do this, you might become a little bit like me.
Now.
If that's what I got to do to make certain that Upsilon can't rain hellfire on this world, that is a small price I must pay.
Lyra is
I
not
feel
this
like
person.
so he's definitely that's the green light. I feel like at the very least, I feel like you should see something like come over his eyes or something like that when he's doing this shit. Like a shadow passes over his eyes or something when he's like, okay, to the voice, help me.
Oh shit.
You watch as he embraces this, his wings leak blood onto the ground. They always weep this blood, but it's usually not a tangible thing that touches reality. Usually it fades like some sort of, mercurial magic slipping through the seams of reality. But no, this weighs heavily on the surface of the floor. This darkness ekes out. Holbjorn's breathing becomes silent as he knows what this magic is. And we're going to roll a miscellaneous D30.
Not miscellaneous. Whoa, wait a minute. oh, come on, bro.
That was almost. with this.
You feel the shuddering magics ripping through Tavish, and you hear a voice in your head. I need more power. Give me more power. We can make this happen. And you know, right now, you could feed one of your minor tokens to this other you, this inner you. And in exchange, the output into this attempt into Tavish will be that of a far greater expanse of power. 5,
Fine.
And this,
Let me look at
4.
my gear. I believe I will be doing that.
because
Tavish, you watch as like the shadows around him are like kind of flickering in and out, and you're just kind of like, even by your pain tolerance, you're like, oh god, this, like, it's almost vomit inducing if you could vomit.
and feel it.
And Lyra, you watch as this, it's just kind of flesh tendrils lapping on top of each other with this Stygian flare, but then it tightens, it coils, the wounds smooth over, and you recognize, without a shadow of doubt in your mind, that all the places repaired by this magic, the flesh looks nearly identical to that of the creature Chimera.
Mm-hmm. Also, and this was better than the light. Look. Mervis is like, he's traumatized. I need Mervis to look and tell him some things. Because this is
Mervis
ridiculous.
clearly avoids looking.
Mm-hmm. So, first of all, you're scaring the child. Secondly, I need you to look at this and tell me what it is. Does it remind you of anything?
What is this?
He know I was pointing. He seen it. I'm talking to him, not you.
I was
I know what this is.
Mm.
I know that this is the style of things that we are fighting against.
Mm-hmm.
And do not think I do it lightly. But right now, this shell needs to hold together just long enough.
If you say
It's
so,
not
but I think
pretty.
you're not thinking at all. It has nothing to do with the look, but you know what it is, whether it looks like that or not.
how does he feel?
He sounds like it feels like shit.
He, no, Tavish, you feel about as well off. It's not like, the best way to describe it is you still feel the same as far as like in pain and like the movements of it, but it's like where before you were like, I have to support myself. You feel like the initial want to support yourself, and you're like, wait, no, I can move normally. As if this entity that is on you in these gaps isn't a part of you. It responds to the things you want to do, and it moves with you, but it's not you.
I gave this man an endo suit. Hey,
It's a
look at that.
parasite.
He animatronic now. Look at you.
Kim, look! As Ace points out to the front of the carriage, you see the battle happening over Ambervale. You see in the distance this golden orb of light that you recognize the energy of. It feels like one of your siblings, though you've never seen them, flying alongside of Upsilon, flying alongside of Aegis as they collide over and over into the air before they force Upsilon down towards the gate. Upsilon lands on the very gate that you approach in Ambervale. A hero leaps up to his side and grabs his arm. You recognize the hero as Roscoe. The other arm of Upsilon is grabbed by shadowy tendrils from both Darian and Neophytos de Angelos. In the sky, this golden orb spikes high into the air alongside of Aegis, and the two of them begin generating a terrible amount of power as they begin flying down towards this. Barrages of spells in the arcane fly out as Anguin is like battling all of Upsilon's magics that he can conjure without moving his arms. Below the gate, you see Master Hammer and the King begin to charge up attacks of their own, and then in a collision that is blindingly deafening, your senses rage, your eyes want to look away, your ears feel like they're hearing noise despite the distance. You have tremors across your skin as all of these great heroes collide all at one time. And then I'm sorry, do you have something?
No, finish, because we're not there yet, but I'm like...
And then standing there in the ruin of it all, the top of the gate of Ambervale is blasted apart. The stone, the magic resistance, everything is shattered. The frame itself has cracks from all of the attacks that were just used. And standing there is Upsilon.
Of course.
He tosses the heroes aside, and he flies up and he meets Aegis in one-on-one combat as the party pulls to the gatehouse. As you exit the chariot, carriage. My goodness, I can't remember that word. As you exit the carriage, you step past the horses. You step past Russ. His legs are scarred and bleeding. The energy exerted from what he did. He slides himself over to the side and lays his head down on a small bushel of hay. And he goes, You gotta go get him. And he passes out.
I look at my friends. I just want to say, before we get over there, if things go badly, I'll give you the signal. I need you to get away from Upsilon.
Well.
And Colbjorn, you need to get Ace away.
He nods.
Is it bad that I want to say if things don't go bad and they go the way we want them to go with Upsilon and whatnot? I have to say, and I know this might seem extremely biased, but Okra, he might, I don't know what he said to you, he might act as though he wants nothing here, but there is something he is getting from this because he's played many parts and he does not do things for free. So if you have, don't let him go. That's all I'm saying. Because the flying, that was him. That was the power that he stole from he has a hand in this. He will get something from it. I don't know what, but it cannot be good.
I'm sorry. I should have grabbed him when we were on the tower, but with Tavish like that, I didn't want to exacerbate things.
That's understandable. I'm just saying now, in the here and now of things, if you see him, keep that in mind. There's something he is getting from this. What, I do not know. But it's always something. He doesn't do anything for nothing. He does nothing for free. He always has an ulterior motive.
As the party steps inside of Ambervale.
Were you going to say something, Ian?
He so was. But it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing the dramatic build-up.
I was trying to grasp for something to say at the moment. I'm unfortunately left a little without words.
Not a worry. If you think of something, you can jump on in. For now, as the party enters Ambervale, you rush in, and then an impact near the gatehouse. A crater, easily 8 feet deep by the impact. You stand in disbelief as the shattered body of Aegis lies there,
Oh
motionless.
I knew it was coming.
no!
Can I go and check on him?
Damn.
He can't die.
Can I jump in there and check on him?
Before you even can, two things start happening. One, Angwin's voice says he's glad you're all here. And two, as you look, you see his skin beginning to burn like paper.
Oh no. He'll be back. but
As
so will the
Aegis'
rest of
skin
them.
begins to burn like paper,
Shit.
you see the beginnings of the remergence of the Phoenix Court. Angwin kind of hobbles up to the group in a very non-elegant fashion, as you can tell that he's taken quite some damage himself. Well, that's rather unfortunate. But there is little time to dwell. Even with his battled state, his beleaguered form, the snakes of his robes both bow their heads in greeting to the party.
Of course.
He shuffles through his bag. If you remember, quite a bit ago, I had you go to the city of Nullhix to retrieve a compatriot of mine, Cicero. He gestures back over in like one of the little guardhouses, and there's just a terrified looking like snake person just like
Oh my god.
like shaking and twitching every time there's like a boom somewhere in the city.
Remember, Lyra wasn't there. She knows nothing.
And
It was Orlena.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna lose my sword.
well, because of him, I was able to make each one of you one of these. And he hands a scroll to Sequoia, Upsilon, and Tavish. This one I had to make some modifications to. And he hands it to Lyra.
On the front it
What
says
is it?
Orlena and it's coming out. This is Lyra.
It's just,
Line.
yeah, exactly.
It's
It's just white out.
Yep.
No magic. Just, you know.
Sorry.
But there's a conduit for each one of you to go to in the city. And he begins handing out a map. Though the second any of you glance at where you're supposed to go, you're like, oh, I know exactly where that is. For Lyra, it's asking you to go to where one of the concert halls was. In fact, the final concert hall. In fact, it's the very street that you lost Valkyrie. For Sequoia, it's telling her to go deep into the slums of Ambervale to where her very foundation began to spring up. She once an institution that hated her and hated Hedera, but now was a testament to helping wayward children. And any of those denizens of Nullhix, for her, the champion of humanity. For Tavish, it's Mervis and his father's blacksmithery, the smithery, that you need to go to. And for Upsilon, you need to go to the very training grounds where, unknowing to you, you trained with your brother and your sister. Once each of you are in position, the scrolls should start to activate themselves. I made them dummy-proof. But you're going to have to use a lot of your own strength and willpower to hold these beams in place. If you do so, you will strip from Upsilon a large portion of the remnant that you left on him when, well, you all perished at the prison. I shall use this. And he pulls out this orbish, crystalline, mirror-looking substance. Tavish, you recognize it in a manner of speaking, as it feels like a version of the weapon, though its potency seems much lessened, as if not made by a god, but made by mortals.
I would like to spend. I'm not certain if it's a cinematic, medium or minor cinematic token. Tavish had concerns that the weapon itself was not going to be powerful enough against Upsilon. Is there a way for him, and can I use a cinematic token to have had a previous conversation with Angwin about the potency of the weapon, if there was any way to modify it? Or is that not
100%.
how
That is
cinematic
100% how you can use
Yeah,
a
that's how
cinematic
that
token.
was
Yes.
for. Yeah.
So, do you want to use
I-
now? Now, up to you. Do you want to use a minimum, a minor, or a medium?
I'm gonna use a medium. I'd like to save that major.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I do have one major. I'd like
Do you
to
wanna use the major?
save that major for something.
Right.
Then again, this might be the big thing.
I don't
Um,
know.
10.
No, I think I need
Alright.
to go big or go home with this because I'm concerned about this weapon. I will use my major cinematic token to have had this conversation, and if there's anything to
In
do
which-
to make the
Like, hopefully, improvements
In
were
which
made.
case, the new description of the weapon as he pulls it out, it's still the same object, it's still this crystalline in appearance. However, it is not similar to the weapon. It feels like the best replication that Angwin could have possibly made. He pulls it out and he goes, based on our conversation that we had, Tavish, I figured if the weapon itself seems to strip the energy of a soul from everything around it to hit its target, that if we built something similar, but used a more purposeful focusing iris, and he gestures to the scrolls in your hand, that will allow me to aim this more deliberately and take energy from willing participants, thus giving it a different level of potency rather than the forceful, tortured nature of the weapon you still hold.
Hey,
Fuck up my energy.
hopefully this will be better.
Anguin gestures to the sky where Upsilon is holding the entity known as Lambda, the golden orb energy that you have felt on a few occasions, Epsilon, and he is just like hitting her in the face multiple times before he just tosses her aside like a toy, before the next group of heroes leaps up at him to just start losing their exchange.
Y'all, I think we better get moving, because this isn't getting any better anytime soon.
I would like
Let's get
to
it.
turn. Because I still have 3 mediums. I think I will turn to both the final 4 of the Loyal 84. Oh goodness. I want to call him Asher, but that's the wrong name.
Ace?
Ace. Thank you. I forgot his name for a moment. Ace and Kolbjorn, and then 1 to Mervis. I'd like to use 1 cinematic token of medium quality on each one of the 3 groups that I just mentioned, of kind of like, you know what to do, you know who to protect, you know that you need to keep them alive. You are all more than capable of doing this. Now stand for your home. Now stand for your bonds. Now stand with me. And let us see this through. To kind of just give them a little extra oomph for whatever trial may come ahead.
We're going to combo that with a similar to before, a miscellaneous roll based in Inspire, where a crit. Nat 1 is not a crit failure; it's just the lowest benefit that you can give. So let's go ahead and get that roll.
Is this for all 3, or is this each one individual gonna go?
We're gonna do. We're just gonna count that for all 3 each one of them gets that. And again, it's not I mean, it's an automatic
Yeah.
success. 9 plus your inspire, which I believe is a 5.
He's gonna do it.
I was about to say I was gonna drop the 16.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna do it.
Sure.
Thank you.
I was like, he's gonna
Sorry,
do it.
I
Oh, no, you're totally fine.
my
So I dropped the 16. Let me just catch up my note real quick. All right. As the party splits up,
Okay.
each one of you finds yourself strolling down the road, looking back at each other again, perhaps for the last time. As you make your way through the city, it is in ruins. Buildings collapsing, and most of it isn't even intentional. It's just as two of heroes will collide with Upsilon at the same time, and just the remnants of attacks just eking off and splattering across the city. You see that lesser heroes, as they like lesser heroes that are trying to like evacuate civilians, use all of their energy, their magic, their war gear, anything that they have, just to block the splinters of magic that rip through the city. As each one of you makes it to your spot. Along the way, though, I do need to pull good old Epsilon.
Oh,
Of course.
I like this. At the sidebar.
As you're running down the city, you hear Epsilon. Is that you? And you look around and you look at a building that's collapsed from an impact from above. And you see your father lying in its ruin.
No, not the old man. I'm running over there, scrabbling, trying to clear that shit out.
As you're doing this, he like grabs for your wrists and goes, "Don't worry about it." And he moves his hands from your wrists to your hands. I wasn't always the best, but I want you to know that I didn't want any of this. I loved your mother. And I loved you and your sisters and your brothers as well. I should have supported you more. But as I look at you now, I can tell you're a goddamn hero. Hell, I didn't think I'd look at Colbjorn's face like that again. As Colbjorn stands there, he mourns this moment. You realize that from this viewpoint of Colbjorn, this is probably the first time he's seen Typhon since falling under Upsilon's calling. He closes his eyes and bows his head and just places his hand on your shoulder. You gotta go. You got a job to do. You stop him, and you save this family. Okay. Prom.
Ah!
I love you, son.
Ah! Daddy, no! Is his weapon nearby?
Only the hilt. Seems, in whatever his last attack was, his weapon was shattered into pieces. Save
taking
but
that
the
with me.
trinket that lies like next to him.
I'm taking that with me.
And you
That's coming
continue
with us.
on to the training grounds. We can rejoin our party.
No!
As each one of the party members, out of breath but determined, makes it to their spot, the scrolls begin to like thrum in their hands, and they like rip themselves from your grasp, and they float and they unravel, and they begin like incanting their magics around. Upsilon kind of seems to passively notice that this is happening and waves his hand out in the direction of each one of your scrolls, with the attempt to break its magic before it bonds, as he continues to fight the other one. So each one of you has a magical torrent of energy flying towards your scroll. What would you do, starting with Lyra? 5,
I mean, what would I do? To try to stop it?
3.
You know what?
2.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna try to send something at it to stop it, but at this time, I feel like I haven't used any of these fucking tokens, so I feel like I gotta use one. And this one, since it's an attack, it has to be an epic token, I would assume. So we're gonna use the medium one.
Medium epic. Perfect. And let's get that attack roll for sound with a medium epic token in tow.
I feel like we're gonna. It was almost there, and I'm upset, but it's okay.
Get that rolly ass dice.
You're able to split the wave of magic from Upsilon's in two.
Helpful.
It flies past the scroll.
Okay.
Places nearby are completely leveled by the magic, but your scroll remains.
Can't do
Sequoia,
shit,
going over to you. 5, 4. No, I'm kidding. Sequoia and Sean G channel together to form a big barrier of roots, and a flower blossoms right before the impact as it shatters out. Splinters, butterflies, like bark fly, petals of flowers fly in all directions, but their scroll remains.
She said use her
Tavish.
tokens.
Tavish. 5, 4.
Tavish would go up to try and use the gray blade to actually cut the magic in twain, so that way it just doesn't reach it. Quick question: is the magic in itself Stygian?
Yes, the magic for Upsilon's magic is Stygian.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Upsilon. Yeah.
Gotcha. Just want to make certain.
So it's are you using any tokens?
Yes, it's a medium epic token.
Medium epic token, and let's get that attack roll.
So much better than me.
You're able to leap out, bring the blade down, and like slice the spell in two. And with this slightly better roll, at the moment of splitting the spell, it would go in two directions. You're able to, like, out of the corner of your eye, notice something moving inside, like the blacksmith. And you're able to like arc your blade and throw the energy into a different location of the city, a distant crash, but not next to you. Going over to Epsilon real quick. Epsilon,
I'm gonna use the power of fire to try and redirect that shit out the way.
We're using a token.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and use a minor token.
Minor token. All right, let's see it. Fire roll, minor token.
Please. Game got me
Oh.
pleading every roll, son. I'm telling you. Pleading. Well, actually, no. I don't think. I don't know if that perk does. No, it's just good enough not to be turned into a 10.
So
well,
you
shit.
send out this gout of flame. However, you're only using a minor token. The spell is ripping down towards you, and Kolbjorn has to interject with his own magics as well to truly break up the spell and stop it from impacting the scroll. Kolbjorn looks down at you and just gives you a...
Oh.
And tightens around the hilt of Typhon a little bit harder.
Over at with Tavish, as you stand there and you've arced up that spell and you stare into the black smithy. It's a family that emerges from it.
Oh.
You immediately recognize them as the family from Null Hicks. The very family who you scaled the building of to save the mother and child. You helped the father to get their carriage and get them on the way before the district that they were in succumbed to the quakes and the flooding.
Almost died. He died.
Almost
died to save them.
Because you're not all bad, Tavish.
They come up to you. And the father speaks. I don't feel like I ever got to properly thank you.
There wasn't time. But I'm glad to see that you're all right.
If I'm being honest, I wouldn't have even recognized you. But in the king's addressment to the city, he spoke of how your nobility was everything that we're hoping for. I knew he was right.
I just hope it's enough.
It's why we renamed our child. In honor of you. I hope they can live up to the name Tavish someday.
Look at that.
Tavish lives on.
It's good that the name I adopted will go to another, and hope that their deeds will be as good, will be better than mine.
I don't know if we can get too much better than you, but we'll try. But for now, I'll get my family out of here so you can focus and we're not a bother. As they begin to grab their things, the wife comes over to you after handing the child to the father as he grabs like the provisions so they can try to like escape the city. Our family crest is a rose, and so I give you, though it's lost many of its petals, this will hopefully, give you something. We would give it to the soldiers of Nolhix, and, as far as we're concerned, you're part of our family. After all, we wouldn't have one if it wasn't for you.
Tavish gently takes the rose and kind of presses it to a portion of his armor that isn't gaping from the wound that he took before, and says, I'll make certain to treasure it. Make certain you take some cuttings for the next garden you plant. So that way, it'll always be with you. As it is now with me.
I will. And they gather the last of their things, and as they leave, the last thing that you see of them before they fade off down the city street is over the father's shoulder, this small child's eyes glazing, glaring out from the darkness, and their arm just reaches out for the only hero that this child's ever known.
Oh, baby Tavish.
Tavish just stands with a hand up in a wave, seeing them off as at a distance.
Over in Orlina's district, as you arrive. Oh, sorry. Over in Lyra's
I got
district.
muffins.
He did not overwrite the scroll well enough.
Like,
The whiteout peeled
I
off.
got
as
muffins.
Lyra arrives over in her district, the thing she sees is the hero Orlina. And that's where my brain skipped the sentence. It just went, look, hello.
So she got muffins. No.
As you get there, you see that she's set up this kind of like little like hovel shop, and she's just like churning out different muffins, and she like puts them on arrows and launches them to heroes, and you see as they're like battled, and they'll like eat a muffin, and they kind of like get a little bit of a pep back in their step. Every once in a while, she'll see that one of them's gonna like land hard on the ground, so she'll grab a muffin and she'll fire it out from her bow, and a massive muffin will sprout before the hero lands, and they like kind of like cut through this softer surface than something quite so massively like dense as the ground stone.
This is efficient.
It is.
You arrive, and she looks up and she's like, "You're that hero that replaced me, aren't you?"
I don't like to be seen as a replacement, but sure, I guess, if that's the way you look at it.
I mean, I had the spot, I left, and you took it. You can call it what you want.
Like I said, if that's the way you want, if that's the way you like to see it, sure.
What's going on there? And she points to the scroll that's ripped itself from you, and that you were just defending.
Well, this Angwin told us is part of what they're trying to use to defeat Upsilon. It's supposed to be a conduit of sorts to help power this weapon that he's created.
All right.
That's about all I got.
Well, if Angwin says it's what we need to protect, then let's protect it. And she readies herself. Over in Sequoia's district, as she arrives, she gets there to this broken down building with orphans and women and men just trying to evacuate the building. And she immediately wants to rush over and help them, but Shanji grabs her shoulder and like turns her around and exclaims that like, "Hey, look, if Upsilon shoots another one of these attacks, I mean, at that thing, there's no way that my magic's going to be good enough to protect it. You got to trust me with this, okay? I'll help them. I'll get them out, but you got to stay here." And Sequoia is like clearly torn as she sees these children, these helpless people under the name, this building. It's her. It's the champion of humanity. But she knows that Shanji is correct. And she stamps her foot into the ground. She turns and she goes back to the scroll as Shanji runs to the orphanage to help. Over with Epsilon. As Epsilon, you arrive at the training grounds. There's a person laying down in the ground there. They stir and they get themselves up, and it's none other than your brother, Darian.
He get over there. I don't know.
Darian.
That seems so
I run over
suspicious.
because now I'm traumatized slightly.
Epsilon.
Are you all right?
I mean, as all right as I can be, I guess. I knew he was going to be strong, but this is something else. As he looks up into the sky, and you see that he's easily, like with one arm, twisting Master Hammer's arm, even though he's using two hands to try to fight back against Upsilon's grip. As he begins to break one of his arms, he probably could have struck the killing blow if not for Lambda flying back in to take his attention. I just don't get it, brother. I don't understand how he's this strong. He holds up the scroll that you had tried to use against him before, and you see that its magic looks like it was bleached away, stripped and ripped into nothingness. It didn't even hold him for a second.
We're gonna stop him.
Is this?
Penguin has a plan.
Of course that he does. Well, if this is his new plan, then I'll buy you as much time as I can.
Darian, before you go, Father, and then I just show him the hilt.
Okay.
Oh, did he die? Oh no.
He musters up what energy he has left. It's a flicker of shadow and wealth of power that you know Darian to have, but it's fake. You can tell it's a show. You can tell he is on the brink of his power. He's on the edge.
Last leg.
And he takes to the sky, up towards Upsilon and the other heroes doing battle.
My family's tearing itself apart.
Quite literally, on that note, Upsilon is doing battle with Lambda as Darian enters the fray. With one hand, Upsilon is doing battle with Darian's magic, as if it's starting to become a plaything to him. You see the spirit walking row, like shifting in and out of reality, trying to shift and convert Upsilon's attention, or at least some of his magics. But again, almost passively, Upsilon's shadow seems to batter aside the efforts of Row.
Wow.
Darian falls backwards from a wave of energy. Lambda is slapped aside. Row, you see his spirit form echo, flicker, and slam into the city, presumably where his actual body lies. And Upsilon takes to the center of not quite the city, but the center of something. Each one of you have this moment where you realize wherever he's heading seems to be directly in the middle of where all four of you stay, or are the intersection of all four. And a light begins to shine down from the sky, hitting Upsilon's shoulders. And each one of you looks up, and in the sky, as it splits, you don't see the sky beyond the clouds, no. You see what can only be described as another realm. Seats where gods would sit. You see the likes of Gyako, Lyle, Passacor, all staring down as one of their kin is stripped from their seat, clawing at this reality before all of that energy that echoes and booms with the strength of God seems to fade and flicker into near nothing. And at the height of now the mortal realm sky, Mervena begins to descend. As Upsilon begins to
Remember,
rise.
he was trying to do that shit before, remember? That's why he's so fucking strong now. Remember?
He's trying to steal her seat?
Each
His
one
name
of your
was appearing on the shit in the spires.
each one of your scrolls begins to vibrate, and you have the impulse to go and grab the top and bottom of it. Do you?
Yep.
I feel like we have
Yep.
to. We gonna die. It's okay.
As each one of you grabs the scroll, an energy arcs out towards Upsilon. And his ascent seems to slow until all four of you have your beams going on him, and he is struggling. Mervena seems to still be descending, but Upsilon's like momentum seems to be waning. The other heroes begin making their attacks, trying to tether them with their own spells, or leaping up to strike their blows while they can. And you see him, barely, is a glint. At the top of the Mages Guild, Angwin begins harnessing an immense amount of energy. It grows and grows and grows. Yes, Tavish?
Tavish would like to also get the weapon out. And if he can use strength to hold on to the scroll with one hand and use the weapon and start aiming it at.
As your hand leaves, your beam would flicker and start to fade, and Upsilon's ascent would hasten.
I wish I could talk to you.
I am going to. I'm gonna go ahead and continue for a second while you mull on this. As all of this is going on, Mervena is approaching the ground, though she has not passed that halfway mark. The heroes that are trying to weaken and battle Upsilon, even in this state where he can't really move but a few feet in each direction as you're keeping him more or less in place, he still is beating aside these other heroes. In fact, actually, let's see how well the four of you tether him. We're going to get a party roll. All four of you are going to roll. Would any of you like to use tokens? Sequoia will be using a minor epic token. Because
Me
she
too.
wants to use her tokens.
Minor epic token it is.
Yep, me too.
So 3 minors. Tavish, what
Awesome.
about you?
I will also use... I will use a medium epic token. I've got
Gotcha.
2, so I will have 1 left.
Perfect. And let's get the a roll for each of the party members. 3 minors, 1 medium. Mediums from Tavish.
I'd like to go ahead and drop the 14.
Drop the 14. Perfect. Heard you.
All right.
I rolled a 2. That's actually a dodge. What
So
kind
let's
of
see
roll
here.
is this?
Oh my god!
So 17, 21 is the total from the party. 3 minor epic
31.
tokens.
Oh, it was a group. Okay.
Oh yeah,
That makes
14.
it
Yeah,
feel a
sorry.
little bit
Yeah,
better.
14.
You scared the heck out of me there.
Yeah. As each of you feels like the scrolls literally start to like shift position as like his struggling is causing like not just your arms to move, but your whole body like shifts and wanes under the strength of Upsilon's magic. As during this exchange, he's sliced. A blade slides into his ribs. The first mortal damage that you've seen Upsilon take. It's the King of Ambervale who's leapt up with his blade. This attack, this weapon has seen the fall of darkness happen. Heck, it was a part of it.
Okay, old man.
Upsilon grabs the arm of the king, grabs the throat of the king, and in a cloud of darkness, snaps the King of Ambervale's neck.
Oh, Upsilon. I thought you said Epsilon. I was like,
Oh,
what the hell are we doing? I was like,
Yeah, I'm helping
The
him now,
king-
y'all.
At the snapping of the king, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt, or do I need to hold off?
let me finish the. So the king's neck snaps, and Upsilon drops the king, and the blade begins to pull that out. Engwood is getting closer and closer to firing the weapon. However, this happens at the same time to each one of the party members. As Ravenna is getting closer, she now passes past Upsilon, and even just as she passes past Upsilon, you feel his power intensify tenfold. And so, to each one of you, there is an important question that is going to be asked. First, we'll start with Lyra. We're going to go into a sidebar.
Oh, sidebar. Side.
As this moment passes, as Mervena slips past Upsilon, and you see that Upsilon's power is increasing to ungodly, or in fact, godly new heights. You sit there and you're holding the scroll, and you look over at Anguin, who's channeling more and more energy. You see that there are mages at his feet offering up their magic, offering up so much magic, in fact, that they slump to the ground, helplessly out of magic. In fact, some of them, you might even gather, never will cast magic again.
wow.
And as you hold this scroll, you hear a sound, a melody, a song. It's Valkyrie's song. You can't. How? No, it's impossible. There's no way. And then you turn as you see one of the arcs of this magic that's echoing everywhere. The magic of that black hole portal, the very one that the dragon had slipped into after Dawn had thrown this mercurial weapon at him, is appearing in the ground. And from it, you hear the song of the Valkyrie echoing from within. It's not lost on you that the very spot that this hole is opening, this divide, this break in dimension, is exactly where you lost your friend. And so you have a very important question to answer. And that is, do you hold your ground or investigate the song?
I feel like, okay, you're gonna say, I feel like she, unless she feels that she's going to like be able to absorb the power, whatever's coming from it, to help her, she would stay where she's at. Because with all this going on, just stopping and looking is not going to help anything. She won't be able, if this should happen, she won't be able to do anything else after that.
For what it's worth, it's, she does hear not the remnant of the song like she's heard in the past. It quite literally sounds like Valkyrie singing. But you have a decision to make.
You know, that's what I said. Unless she feels like she can pull, like I said, energy from that to help the cause, she would stay where she was at, because she can't. Because again, if he gets up there and he becomes a god, and I feel like they made it sound like everyone's gonna die. So
yeah, well, and again, this is the joys and woes of cinematic epic. Do you hold your position, or are you investigating the sounds of Valkyrie? 10,
No,
9,
I can't.
8,
I'm over
7,
here. Like, if I die, I'm not gonna get to achieve
6.
what she's not gonna get to achieve it.
So we're holding our
We
ground?
have to. We have to.
Okay. And we can return to our party.
I'm over here like.
All right, so we are going to go to a Sequoia sidebar, as I do have the decision that Sequoia made, and so we are going to I'm going to paint that picture for our viewers so they can get that full glorious image.
Here goes Adam talking to Adam.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
As Sequoia is holding this scroll and her magics are pushed to the absolute limit, one of the things that she hears coming from Ravena is not just the call of someone in peril, but she realizes this connection that Yapata Daphos and Ravenna had. And in so many ways, as she has more and more of these Haderas in her, that's her mother calling for help in front of her. And so, when presented the decision between holding her position and going to the call of Mervena, Sequoia goes to Mervena. Screaming back to Sean G that she's sorry that she has to leave, but she has to go. She just feels it, that she has to go. And we can return to our party.
Don't give in.
Next up, we will head to Tavish. As you're holding the scroll, your arms are shaking. Everything's going on. Ravenna passes past Upsilon, and you feel his power beginning to magnify beyond count. He is truly ascending to that of the power of a god. And you hear a whisper on your shoulder. Tavish, I'm bring a token to thee, but I will not speak it to you. I will let him. Tavish. What a delicious predicament we find ourselves in, isn't it? You feel Croupier's arms wrap around your body, and his hand slips in through a hole in your armor, and he begins pulling out the card that embedded itself in your flesh, in your deal. Are you ready to see who you need to use the weapon on? To save your wife, children, and your people? Well, here it is anyway. And he flips the card in front of your face as you're struggling against the magic, and you glance over to the card. And the card is Anguin. Well, Tavish, there's your choice. And you feel Croupier's guile laugh and fade. And so, Tavish, you have a very important question. And that is, do you hold your position? Or do you move to take position against Anguin?
I'm presuming Croupier is no longer there.
With you currently, no.
Gotcha.
But he did. You would remember that he did verbally agree to watch you fire the weapon. That was in your agreement.
So Croupier is not there. He's just watching.
Well, so no. So Croupier is not with you right now. In your agreement, the second iteration of it, you asked if he would be there to watch you fire it, and he was like, "Sure, like I'll watch you do that." He was more than happy to do so.
All right. I would like. I'm trying to keep this fast because I know that we have only
You're
a
good.
certain amount of time. I want to deceive Croupier. Does Croupier view me as a friend?
No, he would not view you as a friend.
Gotcha.
But Croupier in this specific moment is not with you. You would have to move to the position to fire at Angwin, and he promised to be there when you fulfilled your side of the deal. That he promised to be there when you fire the weapon.
I ask. This is me laying the card out on the table for just trying to make certain I can describe this as quickly and easily as possible. The premise is to put Tavish into position to fire, and at the last minute turn it on Croupier.
So
is there enough deception to pull that off?
Ultimately you would not know if you have the deception required. You just know that you could get the pieces in place.
That's what I want to do.
All right. So between holding position and taking position to aim at Angwin, we are taking position to aim at Angwin. Correct?
And we're going to have Mervis hold the... Yeah. Can Mervis hold the token? I guess is really the best question, but I have no idea.
As Tavish heads off towards Angwin, that is the question maybe on his mind. But let's return to our party. And last, but certainly not least, let's take a sidebar with Upsilon.
Yeah. Oh,
all of your magical might is being shaken, tested in just holding the scroll in place as you see Mervena pass the halfway point, and Upsilon's power becomes unimaginably strong. If he was untouchable before, now he's probably beyond even that. And as this is happening, you feel Mervena calling out to you, pleading to you to save her. And you feel this pull to the center of the city, right below Upsilon, where Mervena is descending to. So the question that you're faced with is, does Upsilon hold his position, or does he move to your mother in aid?
Oh, what the fuck?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
I think he's gonna have to. Ah, god damn it! I think he's gonna fly his way on over there.
He goes to aid his mother. as you take flight. We will rejoin our party.
Never mind.
Lyra, you're holding your scroll, and you see the beams of the rest of the party flicker and stop. Flicker and stop. Flicker and stop. As you stand there, Upsilon begins rising even faster. Your arms strain, your own, like, there are times where as you take a breath, it feels like you don't have connection to your own magics at all anymore, as if all are consumed in the crushing might that is Upsilon. But then the beams begin to reignite, though it seems much less. It seems not quite the same. You can feel the energy. It's over on Sequoia's. You can feel Sean G's energy ripping out as he tries to hold the line. Over from Epsilon's, you feel Ace's magic rip out as he tries to hold the line. And from Tavish's, you feel young Master Mervis's magic and might reach out as he tries to hold the line.
Man, y'all ain't shit.
Listen, my daddy just died, and now my
Fuck
mama
your dad,
gonna
'cause
die.
he wasn't shit either. Your daddy
I'm
was the
flying
biggest
in there.
piece of shit of them all. Your daddy was the biggest piece of shit of them all.
Oh,
Fuck
I
outta
can't
here.
lose them both in the same day. That's some bullshit.
Man, fuck your dad. He wasn't shit. He ain't do shit for you. And then you're like, oh no, my dad, man, fuck him.
Lyra, I'm going to need a roll from you and our three NPC characters as you try to keep Upsilon in range and target, like a valuable target for Angoin. And I don't need to tell you how important this roll is. Would you like to use any tokens?
Well, sure. Let's do that. I feel like I might as well at this point because, you know, everything is on me now because I don't got no friends.
So it's big Lyra.
I would like to interject and remind that Mervis.
I have it written down.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make certain that was thrown out there.
I'm like, let's. I have one single major one, so let's use it.
Oh, all right. Okay. Let's get for drama, we're gonna let you roll last. We're going to see the NPC roles of Sean G, Mervis, and Ace. First, we're gonna go first with Sean G. His roll is 13. Then we're going to do Ace's roll. 11. And then finally, young Master Mervis. 16.
They holding it down.
You see that like they're trying all of their might. They're inspired to the brink of what can be given to them as heroes, but each one of them pales in comparison to any one of the heroes of the Fulcrum. And so an immense weight is put on you as you wield this major token and you summon up your sonic strength to pulse forward and try to halt Upsilon in the sky. Let's see if you have what it takes.
Oh God!
That shit was so close to being a 20, boy.
Will you use your mastery, as this is coming from your magic, this is a sound-based.
Does token still apply?
Yes, your token still applies to the roll because it's just a reroll.
Yes.
All right, a level 2 mastery. Again, no pressure, and by no pressure, I mean an immense amount of pressure.
That is such a tease of a roll.
Could have been. But you know what? 13 is still better than 6.
So, as you reach out, you're like the balance. He's clearly slowing. He's not rising to the point where he's gonna make it into the pantheon. What's up?
Is it just considered 13, or do I still get +1s?
No, you still get your +1s. Yeah. So realistically it's a 15 because you're +1 to all your rolls from the Light of Thespis. So did Master Mervis get a +1 because of the Light of Thespis. All of that was accounted for.
Okay.
As you reach out and you're doing the absolute best you can, you're gonna stop him from getting out of range of Anduin's spell for sure. However, the backlash that is going through from Upsilon, before it was far more manageable with the other heroes of the Fulcrum with you, but you find yourself alone now. So, I have a question. Does Lyra accept the brunt of the backlash from the near god Upsilon? Or does she allow it to be evenly split to the lesser heroes holding scrolls? 10.
I guess, because you know what? If they... Yeah.
All right, we are going to roll a resist magic. 18.
So is that one Stygian too?
Yes. And this is going to be an 18 is the number to beat.
Wait. Okay. But I still got...
What's up? So I have you
I'm going to say... Go ahead.
So what's up? Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I have you at 15, I believe, correct?
And then I have this polypath thing over here, so I had +5 to the defense to
resist magic. Yep.
Defense. Yeah, all that.
Yeah, perfect.
Prestigious.
And which
So
perfect. That was the one I didn't have to count
I was
for.
like,
So,
no.
with that you do pass as you feel the attack. It's still painful. Like your clothes like start to like rip. Like lashes of magic start splashing out everywhere. Orlena has to literally like duck, hide, and like throw out a muffin barrier just to not be hit by the explosions of the arcane that are all around you.
That's fair.
But the backlash to the rest of the minor heroes is they are spared from it. As
hero.
They're the only ones helping me.
As Epsilon and Sequoia both make it to the center of the city, they see each other. There's a moment of confusion, and they both realize they want to stay on task, and they move towards where Mervena is going to land. Tavish moves with all haste through the city, wishing that he had some way to fly. By the time the other heroes have reached the center, reached their destinations, though, no pressure, Orlena. But you got to hold Upsilon in place one more time. So, since this is part of the same action, you are going to keep your major token for the purposes of this roll. I love the sigh of relief on Tavish's face. So once again, we are going to see our minor heroes roll, starting with Sean G.
Stop it. It's too much.
Oh
It
my
hurts. It
Next up
hurts.
is Ace.
Oh, Ace, my boy!
This got better.
Next up is Master Mervis.
Oh, Mervis
okay,
the god!
okay.
The goat. The goat Mervis.
And then finally, your roll.
That's my boy.
That fucking 9!
All right, you do have your second
one more.
mastery
Uh-huh.
because of the Light of Thespis. Would you
That's the
like
Light of
to?
Thespis.
That's this.
Yes. Roll it.
Once again, our
Thesponius.
mastery 2 is being used.
Thesponius. That's pretty good.
Still better than that fucking 9. Oh, God.
That is pretty good.
And
18 with your additional +2, plus 1 from sound, +1 from the Light of Thespis.
so then Mervis got a +1 too. But he's technically
21.
Oh,
Yeah.
21.
As that is going on, you're like, you have a good connection and you're holding him. I'm just making sure I'm doing my math right. Yes, you're holding him in place. In fact, there's even the slightest perceptible he doesn't actually move down, but he kind of vibrates in place as he's attempting to continue to ascend. He starts lashing out more magics as the other heroes that are still able to stay in the fight intercept, block, or attack. However, we need to enter a very important sidebar. And that sidebar is with Master Tavish.
Tavish. Tavicular.
Though your run isn't actually, distance-wise, that far through the city, you have to make it through the winding streets of Ambervale. The market district was definitely, built to have the most amount of shops, not the most direct routes. In fact, you might have even thought at a time it was built to kind of trick you into staying longer, so that you might spend more of your hard-earned gold. You know that you're maybe, realistically speaking, a mere 50 feet or so from young Master Mervis, but through the maze of stores, shops, rubble, and ruin, it took you quite some time to trek to the point where Anguin lies in your sight. You hear his voice echo from behind you, and then beside you. And then finally he sits on a little, park bench almost. His legs crossed, croupier goes, Tavish, Tavish, Tavish. And here we are. So sweet of you to want me to watch. But in just a moment, everyone you love will be within reach.
Fuck off. Sit there and watch. Tavish begins to line up as if he's going to fire at Anguin.
I have to say, I'm honestly quite surprised, Tavish, that you would be willing to risk your good friend Mervis all over again. You do know he's well within range of being a target of, using the weapon, right? But what is one fake son for a real one? Yes?
At that, Tavish will... How close is Upsilon? Is he still within range of this weapon?
He would definitely still be within range, yes.
Can I tell how close Anguin is to using his weapon?
You would imagine, based on what you know of the weapon you have in your hand, he would be about to fire. It is reaching its apex. Clearly, the
And
fact
how
that it
close
had to
is-
draw from willing aspirants rather than forced ones made its like consumption process slower.
Gotcha. The problem is croupier. That even fake suns can have a bigger impact than a real one. Tavish then turns the weapon on Upsilon and fires.
All right. Let's get first off. Well, actually, in fact, we're gonna return. We're gonna have some rolls. I'm gonna set this up for the rest of the party with things that are going on. But we will return. I'm gonna do a meanwhile bit just so you're up to speed with what we're doing.
Gotcha.
So,
Fuck shit happened.
as good old Epsilon and Sequoia reach the center of the city, they move with speed together towards the place where Mervena is going to land, as she is now but feet from landing, and somehow, even though there's no clear anything, it just looks like the ground of Ambervale. The two of you, Sequoia and Epsilon, both know that if Mervena were to touch this space, it represents something more to a god. This represents death beyond deaths. This is that true death. That name stripped from everything. That feeling, that force, that entity, that identity gone. The two of you can but wait with your hands outstretched for your mother, hoping that your magics will be enough to save her. And now is time to check back in with Lyra. As Lyra, you're holding him in place as you're beginning to grit your teeth, wishing that stupid snake man would fire his dumb weapon from wherever he is. But you realize that there is another arcane ripple about to emanate from Upsilon, and you have to make the decision again. Do you allow the lesser heroes to the chance to take the brunt, or do you weather the storm? You do know that this impact, this well of energy, feels much stronger than the last one. 5, 4.
I
3.
don't think I really have a choice because they won't make it.
All right.
Number 5.
22 is the number to beat on a resist magic. Let's see how Lyra handles it.
Well, there's that. Hope y'all are happy.
The Stygian magic ripples out from Upsilon. It slams into Orlina. She is sent sorry, not Orlina, Lyra. I keep doing that. You're in the same spot. Why did I put these characters in the same spot? Slams down into Lyra. The blast is too much for you to handle. You are sent flying backwards. Your skin is scorched. Your eyes are dry. Scars are ripped across your body, as not only does the magic hit you physically, but like electricity, it surges through your very bones, causing damage on an untold level. You go flying backwards and slam into the ground, barely cognizant. In and out. In and out. Such a ripple of energy in this moment that it isn't enough. Orlina takes the brunt of the magic, but there's more to spare. As this backfeed through the channels, she absorbed as much as possible. But we are going to need some rolls from our NPCs. We're going to start off with Sean G. Sean G needs an 11 to pass.
Yep.
Ace needs an 11 to pass. Young Master Mervis needs an 11 to pass. As Lyra lies there and she watches her beam flicker out and Angwin begin to rise, she sees the beam of Sean G flicker and fade as well. Ace's beam seems to flicker for a moment, but then it is replaced. But by who? The energy seems stronger, but different. Now holding the scroll instead of Ace in this moment to try to brunt the ascent is Kolbjorn.
Mm-hmm.
With no one else to hold it with him, he holds against all odds. Lyra, as you begin to fade more and more,
Why is Orlando not here with the muffins?
You see the beam at your station reactivate and connect to Upsilon. And you see in the corner of your eye that Orlina now holds the scroll, though you have far surpassed her in the ways of magic. You see her bow snaps immediately. Her muffins just begin to pop from the arcane and Stygian like feedback that's emanating through her. She's already down on her knees trying to hold this scroll. As you fade more and more, eyes harder to stay open, you look over to your right, and the little black well is sinking and closing and closing, and you hear the song of the Valkyrie once again emanating through it. And we're going to go into a sidebar real quick with Lyra.
Dearie, can you hear me?
I'm over here like, barely. Well, no, she's probably loud and clear.
Yeah.
There's a connection to the amulet you have. I do believe it's your friend, Valkyrie. We could pull her from that realm, though she would be inside this amulet. Finding a body could be trivial for her, perhaps.
We can pull her out?
In a manner of speaking, we never attuned this gemstone of yours to Okram. We could just move it to her.
But then if something happened to me, would it still go back to Okram?
No, dearie, she would come to you. We reversed it. And this would be a favor from me to you. And even if you don't make it out through this battle, dearie, I'll make sure that she does. I'll come for the amulet, even if you cannot bring it to me. You have my word.
And you'll find her a body, and she'll be okay.
Again, that part's relatively trivial. I mean, there's a chance you might even be a donor. But you have to be willing to consume her into the amulet, dearie.
And then if something happens to me, she'll live on through me.
Perhaps, presuming your body is willing to take it, but in a manner of speaking.
Okay.
All right, dearie.
All right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was going to say, no, okay. I would say I would 100% do that, because even if I'm not here, I would like her to be. whether she's with me or not.
And we can return to our party. A swell of green energy emanates from the crystal that you carry on you, Lyra. And it sinks, or it like emanates away from you and then drifts into this magical rift next to you. And it seems to grab something and tear it from this other dimension of sorts. And you feel your crystal get just a bit heavier. As this is happening, Angwin realizes that he has to just fire the weapon. One of the chains is broken. There's so much backlash going to those that are still trying to hold the weapon. A blue light emanates out from his weapon. Simultaneously, a red light emanates from somewhere under Upsilon. Both of which are going towards the same target. We do, however, have some rolls to make in dramatic fashion. We are going to start with another set of rolls for Kolbjorn, Mervis, and Orlina, holding Epsilon in place through this surge of magical attacks hitting him, and the penultimate amount of his magic blasting out from all sides. And so we will start with young Master Mervis, and he needs a 16. We will do a second round for young Master Mervis. This one is coming from the weapon that Tavish is firing, and for this one, he needs a 10.
Oh, wrong dice.
Next
but he
up,
made it.
we've got Kolbjorn. Kolbjorn needs a 14.
Boy, you almost made it. The wall
And
messed you up.
Orlina needs a 12.
Can we not use my dice for that shit? Because clearly, like,
As the attacks fly out, you see surges of backlash ripping across all of the different chains. Lyra, at this point, you're out. You hear distant explosions, but they begin to become quiet, and your mind drifts elsewhere. Against Upsilon, however, we are going to roll a calamity. Dead. Okay. As this is going on, as these two beams are shattering, blasting, firing into Upsilon, every hero that still has strength in Ambervale is throwing up an attack if they can muster it. Peacefully during all of this, Epsilon, you, and Sequoia grab Ravenna's hands. And you can tell this immense weight hits your hand at first, and this would have been a struggle beyond struggle. But since the both of you came, both sides of what could call Ravenna their mother are here. One representing her past in Yapata Daphos, the other representing Ravenna as she is now, the mother of monsters. You're able to pull her from her descent peacefully into the mortal plane, together as wayward siblings of a sort. As the two beams collide with Upsilon in the sky, he reaches desperately out for the sanctuary that is the Pantheon. And as he claws ever upwards, his physical form breaks, shatters, splinters, falls, crumbles. The only thing of Upsilon that makes it into the Pantheon is the wayward whisper of what he could have been. this form that makes its way to the Pantheon is a similar form to that of Epaphroditus. It sits on the seat, but it's an echo. And already, as this majesty, this tapestry that you look at into the Pantheons begins to close, you see that names and essences and echoes are already fighting to steal the spot that Upsilon has just acquired. His mortal form shattered into oblivion. This husk slams into the ground of Ambervale, broken, defeated. And only a glimpse of it makes its way into the Pantheon. Mervena looks at both Sequoia and Epsilon, but since only Epsilon is here, we're going to sidebar with Epsilon for this.
Hey.
Mervena's spider appendages begin to slip from her as more wing-like appendages and a beauty is restored to her. My son, you must find Tavish now. If you do not find him, his fate will be far worse than anything I could ever imagine. He is where that red beam emanated from. Go now and bring him to me. And she kind of like collapses onto the side, onto Sequoia. She's like, I got you.
Before I go, I wanna go and like, mother, here. I'm gonna give her the hilt that I kept from Typhon. It's like, father, he didn't make it.
Grasps it and places it to her chest as she slumps over onto Sequoia.
I'm flying up out of there.
Lynn, we can return to our party.
We got
Tavish, as you know, you look up, the weapon becomes but fragments and dust in your hand, crumbling harmlessly to the ground, expelled the last of its magics. Out of nowhere swoops in on his wings Epsilon.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't expect that. Tavish.
He's like, oh, that's me.
Tavish is not even going to acknowledge Epsilon. He is turning to swing on Croupier. And I will use that 17, the final number that I have saved, because I'm throwing hands with Croupier right now.
Your account is marked. Epsilon, would you do anything?
Tavish good for some shit like that.
From what I just heard, I guess if possible, I want to just swoop up and fly away with this man. I just like a hawk, just picking this man up and turn around.
In which case, you would turn, you would jump at your 17 is not used yet. You're jumping at Croupier. You feel Upsilon grabbing you from behind and like flying you into the air. Would you resist? So right now you have not used that 17.
Absolutely. All
right.
Sorry. Tavish is absolutely resisting Epsilon trying to swoop in like this. He's after Croupier.
All right. In which case, we have a good old-fashioned roll-off between Tavish and Epsilon. We're going to call this, let's see here, grappling. We're going to call this a grappling check for the two of you.
I'm pretty sure I'm new to grappling, too. No, I got a 4. I got a 5,
really
actually.
Sad for you, because oh, you have a 5? I have no idea what I have. I can't see my page at the moment.
So,
all right.
It's a 5 versus a 4, a roll-off between Tavish and Epsilon.
Mhm.
Tavish, my mom wants to talk to you.
No! No!
Go ask
Do
my
not
mom if you
deny
can
me
spend the
my
night.
revenge!
No. Go ask my mom if you can stay the night. Oh wow.
Get slept on, boy.
Just
Get swept up
barely.
like a
So
baby bird.
with this, it does mean that Epsilon has won the grapple, and Tavish, you are being like pulled away from Croupier. Would you like to make an action? 5, 4, 3.
No, I am instead going to use this moment. Oh wow, that was close. I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing the result of that. Tavish. Tavish is pissed, so most likely he's very frustrated. He's probably going to yell at Croupier a bunch of cuss words, and I can totally do that right now if you'd like me to, or how would you?
No, that's okay. A bunch of cusses are
That's
yelled
fine.
at Croupier.
That's
Curses
which-
You
on his
scallywag.
mom, on his cow, on his whole family.
You're nothing but a common scale.
dishonor.
Croupier just waves like at Tavish as he's swooped off, not and he clearly is just laughing that Epsilon has swooped in and just picked up Tavish like a child.
I just imagine Croupier like apparating like in fucking shoop, and he's gone.
Yeah. Croupier just sits back on the bench. Ugh. Well, it's been fun, Tavish. You have a good flight.
Oh wow. He said.
Any last actions before you are carried out of the vicinity? 5, 4,
Ta-ta.
3, 2, 1.
Tavish would
Damn.
use the wild magic that he has to try and bring and
Right.
drag Croupier with him through the dirt.
Here you go.
Sure. We can see that roll.
Shit.
This is where I'm going to drop that 17.
Ah!
Because
Drag
I
'em.
want to
So-
throw hands with Croupier so hard.
Croupier is like beginning to be grabbed, but he like naturally he reaches out to the bench, and then the bench
Right.
starts to slide. And we're going to actually do a little bit of a check. So we don't have a roll off built for 3 people, but we've got Tavish trying to grab Croupier. We've got Epsilon trying to hold Tavish and move in a direction, and then Croupier trying to not move. And so we are going to roll here. Actually, in fact, we're going to put
I
the
have a
pressure.
proposition.
Yeah.
Do I see him trying to drag this man?
I mean, kind
Can
of.
I assist while flying away?
Well, so
Magically?
you want to try to assist magic. Let's roll a perception check to that. Let's see that. Let's do a perception.
That's fair.
What is my perception? I got a 3 in there. That's 11.
I should have said what the challenge was before, but I apologize. But no. Right now you're focused on the task you were given. You're like, I was told to get a man, so I'm getting a man. And so
My mom said your fate would be really bad if I didn't take you.
Uh-oh.
I'm just
Tavish
babbling
like, how
as
the
he's
hell?
doing this
So-
shit.
Tavish just like, how the fuck does she know?
So Tavish, with that, I'm going to give you the prompt to let go or roll once again versus Epsilon.
Assuming he
determine-
heard him yelling at him.
Yeah. So you can use what he just said as a reference. So would you roll against Epsilon to see if because Croupier's like grabbing onto things, he's using his magics and whatnot. This tether is either going to break you've got him. You're not letting him go right now.
Mm-hmm.
Your 17 is going to hold him, and so this is going to represent. Does the tether hold more than Epsilon's grip? So that would be what Epsilon has to roll off against. Or do you heed his words? 5, 4.
Tavish is so mad, and he's wanted to throw hands at Croupier for so long. He is dead set on getting Croupier.
Perfect.
Damn.
All right. So,
Oh,
in which
Lord.
case, we need to have Epsilon. You need to make a grapple check
Oh
in
God.
17, 18, or so it's a 17 plus. Pulling it up.
Uh-oh.
Tavish 17 plus 4, so just a 21 is the number to beat.
Just. Oh shit.
Yeah.
That
As
didn't
you
work out.
fly, all of a sudden Tavish just stops moving, and you are like he is pulled out of your arms. Tavish, in this moment, like the way the pull is, like, so you're trying to pull him with you, so you're trying to go this way, and then the pull this way from Epsilon is gone, and so like a rubber band, you are going to be snapping back to Croupier.
Oh, I'm just going to line up my sword to plunge straight into his chest.
Perfect. Do we want to use the 14, or are we rolling?
We already used the 14 earlier.
Oh, that's right. We did use the 14 earlier. So, here we go. Any tokens?
Yeah, medium epic token.
Medium epic
Eddie?
token.
That should be my
Anything
last
I can
one.
do in
Let's
this
see it.
moment?
In this moment, no. You're like I'm coming, mama. Whoop, whoop,
Oh,
and you're
shit.
like turning back. And like I said, it's like a ripcord that he's being like ripped back to his target. And so, medium epic token, Tavish, attack roll. Let's see it.
God.
Oh
That's a nat
shit.
20.
God damn.
A nat
That's a
What was
nat
it?
20. A nat 20.
It was a 20.
That's a natural 20.
You watch as Tavish flies back at Croupier. Croupier, only too late, realizes the non-hilarity of the situation. And in fact, actually, we also need to roll a knowledge check for the weapon. However, normally 22 is the number to get, but with a medium epic token, we are going to half that to 11. 11 is the knowledge check to get.
Well,
And a 13 is rolled.
That-
A
what'd that
13
do?
is rolled. Which means that for the first time you've ever seen this happen, as you like glance back,
Yeah, like
Epsilon,
I've never seen this shit go off.
his
Like,
weapon seems to erupt with everything it's ever touched. You see the void inked magic of Upsilon. You see the horror, that terrible monster from all the way back in the gray with Orlena. You see Colbjorn's magic. You see fire magic. Everything that this blade has touched seems to echo out from it as he slams into Croupier. Croupier is run through, stunned, staring at the blade through him as he tries multiple times to return to Passicor's realm, but to no avail, as the magics of Upsilon, the gray, the fire, the lightning, the frost rip through his body, and he looks at Tavish. Tavish. Tavish.
This is the... Tavish leans close to Croupier and whispers
He's like-
in his ear. This is the fate of those who betray others. To die a death unforgotten because just in life you were forgettable. Suffer now as you borrowed the power of your betters to inflict mere wounds that you could never truly sustain. Die now, as you should have, a coward, grasping to his betters.
And Croupier falls limp on Tavish's blade. And Epsilon, as you like look to your mother, her face is in worry, like, why aren't you back yet? Where are you? You look back to Tavish, and as you begin the first flap of your wings, with his deal fallen short, chains rip up from the ground towards Tavish, and he begins to sink back to the domain.
Can I have a moment to give a monologue or a quick
Oh.
aside to Upsilon?
You definitely don't have a time for like a monologue, but I'll say you have roughly 10 seconds. Again, you don't need to hold strictly to 10 seconds, but like as this, just set the scene. Epsilon, you see your mother, you turn, you flap your wings hard, you're moving towards Tavish, but you know the second you start moving, you're not making it to him before he's gone. Tavish, go.
Tavish turns his head towards you, Epsilon, and tears off his helmet so you can see his face for the last time and the total desiccation that his body is in as he looks to you and says, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to right a wrong. Despite what may happen next, I would not change what I have done. I beg your mother for forgiveness. But know that I go to this suffering not as a man in chains, but a man who had the opportunity for hope, who seized it. I go proudly to these depths. Build a better world, I beg of thee," as he slips beneath the ground.
Tavish! No!
Oh my god.
As Epsilon lays there, screaming, you begin to hear the cries of people throughout the city. Untold destruction, untold horrors. But there are a few dice rolls we definitely need to know the fate of. One of those is Orlena, Lyra, Kolbjorn, and young Master Mervis. We'll start with a roll against the Reaper for young Master Mervis. He is going to need to best a 15.
I have a weird question, and I do not want to take away from the
Yeah! 19 for my boy. My boy Mervis.
Okay.
Kolbjorn, having suffered the worst of the three tethers that were left, is going to need to beat a 19.
Kolbjorn.
Orlena is going to need to beat a 14.
Fuck me.
Boy. Yo, boy.
Sean G is going to need to beat a 9. He was not in the last of the shockwave. An 8, sorry. He was not in the last of the shockwaves.
Boy.
Damn.
And finally, we have Lyra. Lyra, we are going to do your roll against the Reaper in a roll-off. Me versus you.
I wasn't even supposed to be here.
Ah!
It's bullshit. I said fucking
And with that, Lyra, your last moments here, and you may speak in character in a second if you would like. is
Nobody's here.
squeezing
I'm by
your
myself.
hand
I'm
up,
alone.
clasping the amulet on your chest and making sure that it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
As the city falls ever more quiet, it's just left to those around, left to pick up the pieces. Who can even begin to know what to do? As Upsilon lands next to Mervena, she sees that her son's in pain. She sees that her daughter's in pain. And the three of them hold a moment of silence for all those that have fallen. But she does look at her two children, and she speaks. Everything that Upsilon wanted has been broken. That shadow that made it to the Pantheon is nothing but an echo. Even if he is to secure his spot, he will not have a physical form in this realm for hundreds of years. You defied a god today. You broke down from the Pantheon someone who would have wielded far more power than... Well, you stopped a new age of darkness. You are my children, and I am proud of you. And with that, the chaos around, heroes slain, and still more to be to found out to be overturned. That does conclude this cinematic epic, The Fulcrums of Choice. And while there are stories still yet to be told, and some of them will have to come to you in the form of an epilogue, that is our campaign. Two of our heroes not making it to the final monologue, Lyra and Tavish. Sequoia and Epsilon made it all the way, but who else fell? Only time will tell. It has been an absolute joy to bring you this season of Cinematic Epic, The Fulcrums of Choice, and we are so excited for more stories to come. But until we see you again, I believe we're going to try to put together a reunion for this season where we'll do an epilogue of kind of extra things that you get to know, do some talking about the campaign in general, and maybe some hinting of what is to come for Cinematic Epic as it goes into its third season. It has been a blast to tell you this story. The ups, the downs, and of course, the red lights of death, my favorite part. Until we see you again, thank you so much for watching. Whether it was live or after we aired, you mean the world to us. And until we see you again, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Oh.
Yay.